Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Entrepreneur First's 12th demo day in Europe. I'm Matt Clifford, this is my co-founder Alice Bentinck, and we could not be more thrilled to welcome you all today to see the 27 companies pitching from our London, Paris, and Berlin cohorts. Now, for some of you, this is old hat. This is the 17th EF Demo Day globally, but I know that there are at least 100 people in the room to whom EF is new. And so we do just want to take a few minutes to tell you a little bit about why EF is different. We start from a very different premise from an accelerator or a seed fund. We start from the premise that the world is missing out on its best founders. Why are there not more Google or Facebook scale companies in Europe? For us, the answer is very simple. The people who could start these businesses in Europe don't. The Larry and Sergey of Europe are probably working in a hedge fund. And so our job is not to think like an accelerator, but to think like a talent investor. We believe that it really matters what the world's most ambitious people do with their lives. And we believe that for a certain type of person, starting a technology company is the highest impact thing they can do. This does, though, require a whole new model of investing, talent investing. The people that you're about to see on stage pitching and their co-founders didn't apply to us as companies. They didn't even apply to us as teams. Instead, our team scoured the world for the most extraordinary people we could find, brought them into Entrepreneur First, and then over a 6-month period, we systematically removed the barriers to helping these people build technology companies from scratch. What you see today is the culmination not just of 6 months' effort of team building and company building, but of years of effort beforehand that went into finding these extraordinary people before they even knew that they were founders.
When we started this model of talent investing, now just over 8 years ago, right here in London, we were told that it was crazy. We were told that it wouldn't work. That you can't take individuals who don't know each other, throw them in a room together, and turn them into companies. It's a little bit more sophisticated than that. But now, 8 years in, we're beginning to see the results of this model, and we're beginning to see more and more talent investors join this space. I want to take just a couple of minutes to talk through some of the stats and some of the teams that have been developed through the EF model. Entrepreneur First is working. So, over the last 8 years, we've had more than 2,000 individuals join us. And that's in Europe, from the teams from our locations in London, Paris, and Berlin that you'll see today, but also from our locations in Asia, where we're in Hong Kong, Bangalore, and Singapore. Excitingly, as we've expanded, we're now going to be adding 800 individuals a year to the EF community. We have more than 250 companies in our portfolio, and we'll be adding 100 a year from now on. They've raised more than $500 million in funding, had a bunch of exits. They're now worth over $1.5 billion combined, and EF itself now has just over $200 million of assets under management. I wanted to pull out a couple of example companies to show how the portfolio is developing. Tractable is transforming the insurance industry by bringing advanced artificial intelligence. Tractable raised their Series B last year, $25 million, and is now servicing customers in more than 20 countries. CloudNC, who, did they pitch on this very stage? Or they pitched not very long ago at Demo Day. They raised their Series A last year, and they're now building their first factory. Their mission is to automate manufacturing, and they now have a team of more than 80 people. Clio, one of our consumer-focused products, they now have almost 2 million users worldwide, having launched in the US last year. Excitingly, they're adding a new user every 5 seconds. And Clio is a chatbot for millennials to assist them with managing their money. Kieran, and very excitingly to announce today, so Kieran's mission is to improve the detection of breast cancer using deep learning. And today they announced they have raised a £22 million Series A from our friends at Atomico, which is super, super exciting. And they will be starting trials with the NHS very, very soon. And finally, Accurix. So Accurix is a platform that allows doctors and their patients to communicate. And in fact, they do that so well that now 1 in 3 GP practices in the UK uses Accurix, and they're sending more than 60,000 messages a day.
EF is not only working, but it's growing. We've always said that Entrepreneur First is a global mission. And over the last few years, we've added a lot to what started as a very small team in a very crowded basement in London. We are 6 sites around the world, as Alice already mentioned, and a big hello to our sites in Asia. I know there are hundreds of people watching live streams in the EF offices in Singapore, Hong Kong, and Bangalore. And I'm excited to announce today that it will soon be 7. So in the new year, we will be opening our 7th site and our 3rd continent. We're very excited to kick off EF Toronto. We will be opening up in Toronto in the first half of 2020. We think it is one of the most extraordinary deep tech ecosystems in the world, with an incredible concentration of talent, particularly in the machine learning space, and also a rapidly growing VC ecosystem that is seeing more and more interest for the companies that are built there. We cannot wait to be part of that ecosystem and to contribute to it. And we look forward to seeing many of you in Toronto for Demo Day next year. Growing a company like EF, which is half VC, half machine, requires a team built for global scale. And so my final announcement of the day, we're really excited to welcome 2 new executives to our team, Tom and Sam. Tom is joining us as our COO. He is going to be running all our global infrastructure, everything that makes EF slick, our finance, fund operations, legal, people, compliance, etc. Tom is probably the first hire we've ever made, maybe the only one we'll ever make, that generated national press when we hired him. And in fact, I had a couple of people feel that we'd had a major win for Entrepreneur First, but a major loss for the UK. And that's because Tom joins us from maybe the most difficult job in the world. Before this, he was in charge of all of the UK's no-deal planning for Brexit. Tom was running systems at scale, a budget 3 orders of magnitude larger than EF's, and really working out how to deliver complexity at scale. We are thrilled to have him on the team. And we also welcome Sam Barnett. Now, some of you will know Sam Barnett from his entrepreneurial days in London. Sam started Strock over 10 years ago. Strock was one of the first machine learning-driven ad retargeting platforms. He built that and sold it to Quantcast, the huge big data company in the US. You've almost certainly seen Quantcast because they power about 80% of those GDPR, yes, I agree notices on the web. Sam joined Strock as an acquired founder, ended up one of their C-level execs running a $400 million a year P&L. He'll be responsible for all EF's output globally, managing our growing global footprint. And again, we are thrilled to see the impact that he has. But I know that you are not here to see me and Alice, charming as we are, and so to introduce the 27 teams from EF Europe 12, I'd like to welcome to the stage Alistair, our Managing Director in Europe. Thanks so much.
Thanks, everybody, and welcome. Just a couple of basic things first. We love it when our audiences, both in person and the thousands watching actually on the live stream, share what they see today. So our Twitter hashtag for today, EFEUR12, and the Wi-Fi password, in case you didn't already have it, EF Demo Day. So today we have Europe 12. We have London 12. We have Berlin 3 and Paris 2. It's the culmination of 17 separate programs that we've run across Europe over the years, not to mention the 11 more in Asia. Obviously, this is EF. I can tell you about the record number of applications that we've had. And yes, this has been the record number of applications for a single set of cohorts. That means more quality founders. And yes, we've seen more teams at IC than ever before to bring you this group today. But I think the thing that gets our team really excited is our compounded learning that we're applying over the years. Each cohort that we do is not a copy-paste of the last. We're continuously learning what the best talent looks like, how to select them, how to compose a group for the cohorts, who gets funded, and crucially, who are the breakout successes that create the truly valuable companies. We feed this learning back into everything we do, and that's why each cohort is not a copy-paste of the last, it's an upgrade. Before you get to judge for yourselves, just have two thanks to make. Firstly, to our friends at AWS Activate, and also to those at Vitruvian who have both been long-time supporters of the program. Okay, now, over to the teams. If you could tell a plant, if you could tailor a plant to do anything you wanted it to do, what should you ask it? Let's speak to Plantic to find out.
Hi, everyone. I'm Ying, CEO at Plantic Biosciences. We're obsessed with one thing lately, cannabis. But not for the usual reasons. At Plantic, we're developing a smart breeding technology to create new cannabis varieties 10 times faster. Why is this important? Plant sciences have forgotten about cannabis for 80 years, and that's how much this plant is behind all other crops. But cannabis is not just a plant that makes you high. A toddler in Colorado suffering from epilepsy has gone from having 120 seizures a day to almost none, thanks to a cannabis medicine. Studies also show that cannabinoids like CBD bring incredible results to patients addicted to opioids. There are many other promising applications like these across medical, cosmetics, nutrition, and more. This is why the global legal cannabis market is going to reach $58 billion by 2024. More than 50 countries around the world have already legalized some form of cannabis. Now here is the problem. It will take a whole decade, if not more, to create a novel, stable, and commercializable seed. One of our clients is looking to growing cannabis at scale for epileptic patients. Today, he will have to grow different varieties to extract the different molecules that he needs. This is expensive and time-consuming. What if he can sow just one type of seed that contains the exact molecules that he needs? This is what we are doing. Our smart breeding technology combines state-of-the-art techniques from speed breeding, bioinformatics, to gene editing based on CRISPR. We will eliminate the randomness in traditional breeding altogether so that we can tailor cannabis to market needs with speed and precision. We have the best team to do this. Our CTO, Aditya, is a molecular biologist specialized in plant sciences. He is also the author of a patent. During his PhD, he invented an intelligent way of gene editing to create a climate-proof plant. We will be using the same technology on cannabis. I'm Ying. I graduated from HEC Paris and worked in companies like L'Oréal, LVMH, and sound engineering expert De Vialet. I have led international expansion and won the hearts of customers to adopt cutting-edge technology products. Today, we have already 2 customers signing on our paid pilots and many more in the pipeline around the world. They are using cannabis for many different purposes, from CBD in cosmetics to treating epilepsy. So this is our mission. Tomorrow, we will be engineering plants like how we engineer cars today, with precision, efficiency, and elegance. To realize this, we're starting with a seed. So please come and talk to us. Thank you.
So you all know EF is a talent investor. We invest in the best people before they build companies. But every once in a while, you meet a pair of founders whose CVs aren't just exceptional, they're actually intimidating. Let's meet Unitary.
Hi, I'm Sasha, CEO of Unitree. We have entered the video age. Over 5 billion hours are played online every day, and this number is growing fast. Social media, advertising, dating apps, even medical consultations are turning to video as a fundamental medium. Unfortunately, this explosion of video contains a significant proportion of highly damaging content. And current AI is inadequate to distinguish between what is toxic and what is not. And since just one harmful video can be disastrous to a platform's reputation, companies are employing armies of human moderators in an attempt to address this issue. Unsurprisingly, repeated exposure to disturbing footage leaves thousands with PTSD. And still, damaging content makes it through. During the time that I've been speaking, already over 30,000 minutes of new video footage have been added to the internet. Humans cannot possibly keep up, and they should not have to. At Unitree, we are passionate about solving this problem, and not just because of the huge societal benefit, but also because the market opportunity is enormous. Moderation is costing companies billions, and it's not just Facebook and YouTube. Here are just some of the other video sites with millions of monthly active users. Our customers are excited about how we can save them money, time, and protect their reputation. And also, for another new reason. Next year, the EU's directive on audiovisual media services will mean that any company can be fined up to 5% of their revenue for harmful content. This is a fundamental shift in the regulatory landscape, and we predict that within the next 2 years, this AVMSD will become as well known and as far-reaching as the GDPR. We are in early conversation with Ofcom and are ahead of the curve to help platforms navigate this change. Content moderation at scale is an extremely challenging problem, and a new approach is required. The solution is a fusion between the latest advances in computer vision with a mathematical model of context. We weave together data points into a knowledge graph, resulting in a context-aware AI that can automatically extract meaning. Unitree already has a first-generation capability that is live on Reddit. Our technology is now an integral part of the workflow for the moderators on one of Reddit's largest communities of 22 million subscribers. We were able to achieve this because of a perfectly targeted combination of expertise. The framework for dealing with these knowledge graphs belongs to a branch of mathematics known as differential geometry. This was the backbone of my PhD at Cambridge, where I worked with Stephen Hawking on the maths behind black holes. My co-founder James did his PhD in computer vision at Oxford, in one of the top computer vision labs in the world. He was then brought in-house at Facebook to continue this work, developing algorithms to understand the motion of objects within videos. When people predicted the explosion of video, no one could foresee just how prevalent toxic content would become. It is time to address this issue, and Unitree's technology is poised to do just that. Come and talk to us.
So the electricity grid is in a state of transition. We saw the first flickers of that in the UK with major recent power outages. For our international visitors and those watching online, what this means is next time you're in the UK, if it's very windy, you might not want to get on a train. Our next team provides the data layer for this future grid and the trillions of dollars of value that transact across it. Alianne.
Hi, I'm Ali, the CEO of Alianne. Do you remember the blackout in London last month? Were you one of the 500,000 people without electricity in trains, hospitals, and airports? Blackout happens because of a mismatch between the supply and the demand for electricity. The energy landscape is completely shifting, and we're not ready for it. We've got discontinuous renewable energy supply, which is coming online exponentially. Consumers are consuming more electricity due to the uptake of electric vehicles and electric heating. But the network operators are not ready for this transition. They cannot monitor or predict how electricity is distributed to our homes. At Alian, we are solving this exact problem. Our patent-pending technology understands in real time how electricity is distributed in the grid. Our product is inspired by my co-founder's work in network behavior in biology. His research was published in Nature this week. Our first product is a software platform. It monitors and predicts electricity supply and demand on the local level. Our customers are electricity network operators, and they are crying for our software platform to replace expensive hardware sensors. We are working with network operators in the UK, which they have 60% of UK market share. We're looking at a potential £1 million revenue within the first 12 months, and we have data sharing agreements with multi-billion-dollar energy companies. But this is just the start. Our vision is to unlock peer-to-peer electricity trading, a market which is worth $90 billion. On this vision, we've assembled a world-class team. And the CTO has a PhD in bioinformatics from Southampton University. He carried out his postdoctoral research at Cambridge University. I'm Ali, the CEO. I was trained as a nuclear engineer at Cambridge University. And for the last 5 years, I've been working in the energy industry, including researching nuclear fusion at the UK Atomic Energy Authority. Our advisors are Professor Adam Bennett, Head of Machine Learning at Southampton University, and Professor Gehan Amaratunga, who heads the Power and Energy Conversion Group at Cambridge University. We are also supported by Climate Kick, the EU's largest climate change initiative. We are Alian, and we are developing the DNA of smart energy. Please, come and talk to us.
So, an experienced CTO who's already built a 9-figure company. A hard problem in a large and growing market. Sounds good? It's better than good. It's nectar.
Internet technology is entering its 4th generation. We are leaving the era of the pay-for-service clouds and entering the era of the pay-for-CPU clouds. This is a fundamental change that reshapes how the cloud industry does business, who charges who, and for what. AWS didn't reach its $500 billion valuation by renting out empty servers. It's the software on those servers. Sophisticated software that guarantees that its customers' apps, databases, machine learning models run predictably 24 hours a day. That guarantee is the $1 trillion service. And software companies are happy paying for this service because we know that we need it, and we know damn well we are not going to build it ourselves. This is the unspoken contract that has defined the economics of cloud computing. Now, this contract is about to expire. Meet the generation-breaking technology, container orchestration, an open-sourced, unified specification for describing clouds of any topology, size, or complexity, capable of running anywhere, from a data center to a Raspberry Pi. We're talking about the entire software layer of the current generation times 100. And the revolution's begun. Every major cloud provider is scrambling to reinvent itself. A third of Fortune 500 companies have begun migrating already. And DevOps engineers have skyrocketed to the hottest talent commodities in Silicon Valley. The problem is that for the other 2/3 of software companies, a revolution is scary. The new class of distributed systems that we are building bring with them a new class of complexity, risk, and very expensive talent. Ask any CTO in your portfolio companies, and they will tell you the same thing. They want the power of orchestration, but not if it means moving to this. They want orderly orchestration. They want Nectar. Nectar brings order to orchestration. How? We're starting with the 3 biggest problems that early adopters face today: developer experience, preemptive system testing, and cost optimization. And eventually, it will be possible to build clouds that are correct by design on the Nectar stack. We know this is the right thing to do because we're in conversations with engineering teams at top-tier software companies like Spotify, Robinhood, and GoCardless. But most of all, we know because I've been in this exact position. I'm Xavier. As the former CTO at Hinge Health, I took the company, now valued at $100 million, from pre-seed towards Series B. I know what scale looks like, and I know what those CTOs need. Nectar's advisors are leaders in our industry. Dr. Calzago is the former head of research and development for cloud technologies at HP. And Adam Zimmern is the head of product for LaunchDarkly, the hottest unicorn in DevOps. Our public alpha will be going live in November. By bringing order to orchestration, Nectar is taking fourth-generation internet technology out of the early adopter phase and into the mainstream. Red Hat did it for Linux. We are doing it for orchestration. Come talk to us.
Our next team is using regenerative medicine to solve a truly hair-on-fire problem. Main bio.
Salamanders are known for their extraordinary regenerative capabilities. They can completely regrow limbs after amputation. Now, of course, humans can't do this, but we do demonstrate these remarkable abilities in different ways. Our gut lining renews itself every 3 days. We cut ourselves, the body heals it. Our blood supply is completely refreshed every few weeks. These amazing feats of biology are possible because of adult stem cells. And these processes can be supercharged in order to induce faster regeneration. At Main Biotech, we are using these regenerative mechanisms to combat hair loss. Carlos is my co-founder and CTO. He is one of the very few people to have mastered the intersection of biotechnology, regenerative medicine, and hair stem cells. He has over 15 years of research experience at world-class organizations, such as the Max Planck Institute for Biology of Aging. And he has patented game-changing technology in the field of hair and skin regeneration. I'm Sam. I have a PhD in electronic engineering from the University of Southampton, and I translate Carlos's advanced research into tangible products. And by combining our unique skill sets, we are supercharging the body's natural capabilities in order to tackle different health issues. And we are starting by targeting the hair loss market. Hair loss affects 8 out of 10 men and half of all women. That's 4 billion people. And yet the market is excruciatingly underserved. Just 7% of hair loss sufferers actively seek treatment. Despite this, the hair loss market was valued at $7.2 billion in 2018. At Main Biotech, we are unlocking the regeneration potential of the body in order to tackle hair loss. Our electronic device is housed discreetly inside a cap and provides a natural stimulus in order to awaken dormant hair follicles responsible for growth. Our solution is effective, safe, and affordable. It costs our users just €30 a month. This is a hardware business with a software-like profit margin. And we're joined by a team of experts in hair surgery, skin biology, and engineering. The industry is excited for our solution. We have partnered with the largest hair clinic chain in Germany and with over 11 leading hair and cosmetic clinics across Europe. This will allow us to test our device before launching to market. The potential behind stem cell-driven regeneration is beyond comprehension. We're starting with hair loss, but can quickly translate our technology to wound healing and gum regeneration. Salamanders may take this for granted, but we definitely should not. Come talk to us.
Our next team is operating at the frontier of physics and AI, Extrality.
Hi, I'm Nicholas, CEO of Xtrality. We are building a platform to run numerical simulations faster thanks to machine learning. In short, we are simulating the world 100 times faster. Let me give you a quick example. Imagine you want to build a plane. You need to go through 3 steps. First, simulation in a virtual world. These are called numerical simulation. Second, test in the lab. And third, test in real life. And by then, you generally hope you haven't screwed up before, or the plane will definitely crash. The first step is the most important one, but it also involves a long, iterative process. You have to test a new design, and then test a new design, and then test a new design. And overall, an engineering team will run 300,000 simulations every year, wasting with it precious months and a yearly budget of 100 million euros. Now, let me tell you, this alone is enough a reason to make better planes for our future totally out of reach. And the same applies for cars, energy turbines, space rockets. The Xtrality SaaS platform offers engineers a breakthrough. 98% accuracy, but real-time simulation. This is the magic of a unique machine learning-powered simulation technology. It captures the behavior of a physical equation in a deep learning kernel. And we start with the Navier-Stokes equation, also known as computational fluid dynamics, literally used everywhere from the aerospace and automotive to the energy industries. This first immediate market opportunity is worth 1.6 billion euros and will be 2.5 by 2022. Today, I am very happy to say that we have an ongoing POC and are discussing with 8 of the major actors in aerospace in these industries in Europe. This first pipeline is worth 60 million in revenues for us. We have one ambition: to impact every engineer in the world with Xtrality simulations, helping them focus on what really matters: disruptive, possible design. And we have the right team to do this. Pierre is an international expert in numerical simulation. He has worked with NASA and Dassault Aviation, where he experienced firsthand the problem that we are solving. As for me, he also has a PhD in CFD. As for me, I'm a startup executive. I was the founder and CEO of a tech startup, and for over 6 years I sold to 10,000 people around the world. I also have a PhD in machine learning and 7-year experience in academic research, which is cool, but the best thing is, when Pierre speaks, I understand him. I'll leave you with this last thought. Physics and machine learning both have radically different but very powerful ways to explain the world. Equations versus data. Bringing these two together, we are changing forever what we can build for our future. You can be part of this journey. We are Xtrality.
The future of liquid fuels is sustainable, and it's also a $1 trillion market, which is nice. Our next team, Altrolium, make trades profitable and projects bankable in the new world of alternate fuels. Altrolium.
Worldwide, we use 10 million litres of fuel every minute. This is completely unsustainable for both energy companies and the environment. Soon, this demand must be met using low-carbon production. We are Altrolium, and we leverage data to help energy companies making low-carbon fuels understand what to produce, where to produce, and when to produce. Technologies for producing low-carbon fuels are reaching maturity. Regulation is driving the lowering of emissions, and public sentiment is fierce. Energy security and diversity of production are more important now than ever before. Last week's attacks in Saudi Arabia caused oil prices to spike by more than 15%. With a data science platform, we reduce execution risk for large alternative fuel projects. In turn, this makes large multi-billion projects easier to finance. There is already an industry that does this for conventional oil and gas. We create an analog for that industry for low carbon fuels. We have two horizons on our product roadmap. Ultralium Predict and Ultralium Explore. Ultralium Predict allows our customers to glance into the future. Using time series deep learning models, we can predict asset prices and process parameters. Ultralium Explore gives our customers access to environmental, economic, and logistical data. Together, they tell our customers what to produce, where to produce, and when to produce. Ultralium Predict is ready to deploy. We have 6-figure commercial agreements in the pipeline. Our seed funding will allow us to quickly convert those to 7- or 8-digit recurring revenues. The market for data products in oil and gas is worth $25 billion every year. We seek to recreate that value in the emerging market for low-carbon fuels. I'm Peter Vesovich, and I founded Ultralium with Simon Spurrier. I have a PhD and postdoctoral research experience in chemical engineering from Cambridge, where I've saved my industrial sponsors billions. I've also worked on energy policy at MIT. Simon has studied computing at Imperial College London. In both academia and industry, he has deployed cutting-edge data science products for both oil majors and investment banks. In helping our customers seamlessly navigate the energy transition, we tell them what to produce, where to produce, and when to produce. We envision a world where everyone uses low-carbon fuels, and they don't even notice. We are Ultralium, and we transform low-carbon fuel from an environmental necessity to an economic reality. Thank you.
When an industry with long sales cycles that normally rejects startup meetings suddenly opens its doors, its data sets, its teams, and its wallets to one of our teams, then they must have something special. Let's hear from Opvia.
Over the last decade, investors like yourselves have poured hundreds of billions of dollars into biotech. And while there have been some incredible scientific developments, chances are you're still waiting for your returns. And that's because there's a bottleneck: biomanufacturing. As we all know, Alexander Fleming accidentally discovered penicillin in a Petri dish on his windowsill. Drug discovery was the easy bit. Far fewer people know that it then took another 2 Nobel Prize winners 13 years to scale up that process to make a single dose for a single patient. Scale-up has always been hard, but right now, due to changes in the market and the biotech boom, scale-up is the challenge. Some of you in the audience may remember coding using punch cards. It was a long, slow, and iterative process. Well, right now, some of the world's best scientists are battling to design and optimize bioprocesses without any visibility at all. They're running experiments for weeks on end, taking samples by hand, all so they can get the data they need to make their next best guess. It's no surprise that these products are often late to market and overpriced. Opvia is the technology platform for biomanufacturing, freeing up scientists to do science. So how does it work? At Opvia, we have a core technology which provides these scientists with the ability to monitor their bioprocesses non-invasively and in real time. We seamlessly integrate this with their existing workflows. On top of this, we provide them with the software to take advantage of this real-time data, from analysis to automation to scheduling and control. And the size of the opportunity is incredible. Imagine if lab-grown meat was cheaper to produce than farm-grown. Imagine if personalized medicines were no longer too expensive to manufacture. And right now, when we help our current biopharma customers bring their latest blockbuster therapy to market one day sooner, we put £1 million on their bottom line. But why can we do this? Well, John, our CTO, is a PhD and postdoc from Imperial. He is an expert at developing non-invasive optical techniques for monitoring complex fluid systems. I'm Will, the CEO. I read chemical engineering and biotechnology at Cambridge. I excel at building products and bringing them to market. Dr. Stephen Goldrick, our scientific director, is a world leader in the analysis of bioprocessing data. And we're also supported by some of the leading names in the field, including Professor Daniel Bracewell from UCL, Dr. Janet Wong from Imperial, and Professor Nigel Slater, co-founder of Copa Biologics. But most excitingly, we're already working with the biggest names in biopharma. We've already submitted a collaborative grant application, and over the next 6 months, we'll be delivering tens of millions of pounds of value to our customers through 3 paid trials. At Opvia, we are removing the biomanufacturing bottleneck. We are empowering scientists to bring about the long-awaited biotech revolution. Thank you.
Machines can now be built down to the molecular level, but nanotech is a 21st century reality with a painfully backward 20th century set of tools. Let's meet Shape9, who are here to change that.
"25 atoms. 25 atoms is the smallest distance that current technology can place components from each other. The computing revolution has been driven by ever-increasing density, but even the technology capable of putting 7 billion transistors in the chip inside your phone is near its limit. And this is not only a problem for electronics. Chemical, material, and pharmaceutical industries are all facing the same fate. Below 25 atoms, only nature knows how to organize molecules and build systems from the bottom up. So, how we can leverage this biological precision and bring the step change the industry requires? The answer is DNA. We can use synthetic DNA as a building material. The same way we fold paper to make origami, we can program DNA to fold into a useful 3D nanostructure. Today, this synthetic DNA is already being used as a biosensor by creating structures that match the shape of toxins in food products or chemicals in water. But the design of these DNA structures can take up to 6 months in the lab, trying experimentally millions of possible designs just to find the one that actually works. At Shape9, we bring engineering principles to biology. Our deep learning algorithms rapidly generate designs of optimal DNA structures for each specific application. We're already testing our designs with the 2 largest American manufacturers of DNA sensors for food safety, diagnostics, and environmental applications. With our designs, they save 80% of their development cost and commercialize their products 4 times faster. But for us, biosensors are just the beginning. Our software platform will accelerate the adoption of DNA as an engineering material, enabling groundbreaking applications across many industries. More efficient solar cells, faster chemical reactions, targeted drug delivery, and DNA computing. My name is Andres, and during my PhD in chemical nanoscience, I used DNA as a construction material to build semiconductor nanowires, pollution sensors, and optical barcodes. I also created magnetic nanoparticles for targeted tumor therapies in a multi-million European project. My co-founder, Orest, has a PhD in aerodynamic optimization, where he developed algorithms that improve shapes of aerospace and automotive components. He used these methods at Volkswagen and applied 3D deep learning, generative design, and geometric optimization at Autodesk Research. Together, we bring these computational principles to molecular design. We optimize DNA to control industrial applications with nanoscale precision. Join us to Shape9 the future. Thank you.
Our next team, BQI, is keeping trillions of dollars of infrastructure in the right shape. Welcome, Be Quiet.
Hi, I'm Sakvi, and I'm CEO of Be Quiet. Structural failure in core infrastructure is unsafe, uneconomical, and unacceptable. You may remember just last summer, the Morandi Bridge in Italy suddenly collapsed. That cost the local Italian economy 422 million euros, and it cost 43 people their lives. In the UK alone, there are over 3,000 local bridges classified as substandard, and still, we only check on those once every few years. The benefits of preventative maintenance are well understood. In the past decade, millions have poured into other sectors like equipment performance, financial budgeting, national security, and even personal health in the aim of preventative maintenance. That in turn has created billions in value. And yet, when it comes to our roads, our bridges, our tunnels, the core infrastructure on which our society runs on, we have resigned ourselves to two guys and a clipboard. We at BeQuai are committed to radically improving infrastructure asset management. Our software platform takes dozens of structural parameters from on-site sensors like strain, temperature, displacement, and combines that with next-generation satellite imagery to provide engineers with fundamental asset safety information that they've never had before. This allows us to spot the warning signs before they become tragedies like Morandi, and takes asset monitoring from years down to minutes. I'm intimately familiar with this problem because I'm a chartered civil engineer. I've spent the last decade designing, constructing, and maintaining structural assets all over the world. I'm intimately familiar with this solution because I've used satellite radar imagery to monitor millimeter-scale movements of structures from space during my PhD at the University of Cambridge. I'm intimately familiar with this opportunity because I have been appointed onto a panel of the National Infrastructure Commission, shaping the future of UK investment into infrastructure for the government. My co-founder, Niv, well, he has 16 years of experience as a software engineer and a technical team manager. This is his second time as a co-founder, having served as CTO for a counter-drone and radar startup, and he has also worked in an elite intelligence unit of the Israeli army and managed teams in global corporations. So for us, the big opportunity here is asset monitoring and maintenance. But all infrastructure begins and is impacted by what happens on a construction site. And that's where we've made great progress. We are currently working on site with Thames Tideway, London's new £4.2 billion super sewer. We're delivering a pilot that takes in data from thousands of sensors and leveling points. Next month, we kick off our second pilot with East West Rail. And on our waitlist, we have 6 Tier 1 construction companies and asset owners looking to license BeQuai software to save them millions. The era of reactive maintenance for infrastructure is over. We are BeQuai, and we are preventing catastrophic collapse in the construction industry using sensors, satellites, and science. If you want to find out a bit more, or I've just made you a little bit more nervous about driving over bridges, come and talk to us.
"3D printed metal parts could transform aerospace and other industries if only they could be made reliably and cheaply. Meshflow have the answer."
In 1988, a Boeing airplane lost a section of its roof during the flight. Although the plane landed safely, one person was ejected and tragically lost their life. I guess some of you have flown before, but you're here, so I assume you didn't have too bad an experience. That's because every incident in aviation forces the industry to raise its manufacturing standards. Even the smallest defect cannot be tolerated. This is good, but it has implications. Only 1% of high-value parts, like airplane components, pass the quality test in additive manufacturing, also known as 3D printing. By the time a defect is detected, it's too late. Not only is it hugely expensive, but deadlines are missed, and customers are disappointed. Meshflow solves this. We use computer vision to identify defects during the printing process. This approach will save our partners billions in manufacturing costs alone. There are three pieces of technology here. Dynamic Vision Sensors, or DVS, is a radically new camera technology allowing micrometer resolution at microsecond frequency. We combine this with neuromorphic processing. This allows us to process huge amount of data with the same efficiency as the human eye. And the third tech is artificial intelligence. But I'll leave it to the other teams to talk about it. Doing this requires a very specialist skill set. There are maybe a couple thousand experts in materials engineering for 3D printing, and maybe a couple hundred in DVS and neuromorphic processing. But the team combining the three of them is here, and it's called Meshflow. I'm Anas, and I faced this problem while managing manufacturing projects. During my PhD, I developed new techniques to improve manufacturing that are now used by Rolls-Royce. My co-founder, Dragos, has developed brain-inspired AI for computer vision. It's used at ETH Zurich for video analysis on drones, which are surprisingly similar to 3D printers. By the way, the high-value 3D printing market is estimated to be $11 billion, soon to be $38 billion in the next 5 years. And the need is so evident that we already have 2 pilots with our MVP running in our partners' production lines. One with Thales, who provides aerospace components worldwide to companies like Boeing and Rolls-Royce. And one is Protoshape, who prints over $4 million worth of parts every year. We are now raising our seed round to take our MVP from its current use by our partners offline and start deploying our tech in real time. We are Meshflow, and we identify defects during the 3D printing process. Come and talk to us to learn more.
It's obviously desirable, but it's surprisingly rare for a team to have a really, truly contrarian insight, especially one that releases a whole wave of value. Our next team, Remisio, is one of those companies.
Hello, everyone. I'm Ella, CEO and co-founder of Remisio. We unlock the potential of immunotherapy. It's a groundbreaking new cancer treatment, approved just last year. We take cells from your body, modify them in the lab, and put them back into you to fight cancer. It's incredibly effective. It can cure 50% of terminal cancers for which all other treatments have failed. But right now, it's available to less than 1% of patients. Immunotherapies can damage your healthy cells in a manner far more serious than conventional therapies. The side effects are so dangerous, they can be fatal, making clinical approval incredibly long and ineffective. Every year, the biotech companies are spending $60 billion for testing side effects. And yet, we only have 2 therapies approved. For the industry, it's a lost commercial opportunity. And for millions of cancer patients, it's a colossal clinical disappointment. At Remisio, we take a radically different approach to testing side effects. Current methods focus on optimizing the effect of therapy on your cancer cells. We are minimizing the effect of immunotherapies on your healthy cells. Our solution is using AI to identify and minimize the side effects of immunotherapies. By doing so, we can increase the accuracy of testing by 16 times and speed by 30 times. By licensing our solution, our clients, the biotech companies, can optimize their immunotherapies and save $58 billion on development costs alone. I spent 15 years in research studying protein networks. It's within these networks that side effects of immunotherapies actually occur. I was the head of R&D department of 200 people working on nano and biotechnology solutions to diseases like cancer. But to solve this problem, I needed an expert in machine learning. My CTO, Stefan, has more than 6 years of experience in building large-scale machine learning application models for startups and big companies like Telefonica and Deutsche Bank. By combining my scientific background with his amazing technical abilities, we were able to prototype an early functioning version of our technology. The industry is taking notice. We're already working with Fraunhofer, Europe's largest applied research institute, and 3 biotech companies ready to validate our product. Be the part of the new way of doing medicine. Come talk to us.
'20th century industrial giants often monopolize the means of production underlying entire value chains. What might ICI or DuPont look like in an era of sustainability? Fairbricks.
Do you know what will have the most impact on climate change this year? The clothes you will buy or the flight you will take? It's the clothes. If nothing is done, by 2050, the fashion industry will be responsible for 1/4 of the global emission. The same impact as the most polluting country today, China. Fashion brands have committed to be carbon neutral by then. But how will they succeed without a solution? They need a new approach to creating fabrics. That's where Fairbricks come in. We are making sustainable fabric out of thin air. We have developed a breakthrough chemical process to manufacture polyester yarns from CO2. Polyester is the most used material in the industry. It represents over half of the market. Today, it's made out of plastic, coming from petroleum. Its manufacturing is responsible for 70% of the emission of the whole industry. Instead of emitting CO2, our solution is using it as a building block to create new fabric. It's cost competitive, and the resulting product is identical to the product used today. This technology is based on the works of my co-founder, Taoufik. For the last 5 years, he has developed new catalysts and new processes to convert harmful gases, such as CO2, into high-value chemicals. As for myself, Benoit, I've taken multiple projects from the lab to large-scale industrial success. At Global Manufacturing Corporation, I manage budget worth millions of dollars a year across Europe and the US. We have now teamed up with the leading scientists in this field for the last 20 years, Mark Robert and Gerard Parkins, who are both professors of chemistry at University of Paris and Columbia University. In the last 6 months, we have already proven our method by creating the key chemical components for polyester manufacturing, and we are building a patent portfolio. We are setting up state-of-the-art research lab, and we've got a team of 3 doctors in chemistry ready to join in. Next year, we will produce our first T-shirt, and we are setting 3 POCs with leading retail brands with a potential revenue of more than $300 million. Our total addressable market for the fashion industry only is worth $60 billion, and it's growing at a rate of 7% per year. Moreover, there are dozens of industries we can tackle the same way. We are changing the way clothing is made, and we are making possible what was a dream yesterday, making sustainable fabrics out of thin air. Thank you.
So, Elon Musk. Elon Musk, he has a lot to answer for. You're probably thinking about the stoned late-night tweets, but that's not where EF feels the pain. We have maybe 1 in 4 people coming to us onto our programs wanting to build a company that transforms the economics of the space industry. Finally, here's one who can. Hira from Lumi.
Satellites.
every one of us relies on satellite technology on a daily basis. They've drastically changed our society and the way we monitor the planet. But there's a problem. The way we power satellites hasn't changed since the very first one in 1957. We're disrupting a £550 million industry that's growing at 20%. The space industry is booming, and that's largely because the size, weight, and cost of satellites has decreased by 100 times. They used to be the size of a van and weigh a ton, and now they're the size of a shoebox and weigh a few kilograms. Now, as they've shrunk, so have their solar panels, and that means that many new satellites simply don't get enough power. Many don't get as much power as a mobile phone. Now, our phones are amazing, but when they run out of power, they are useless. Imagine using your phone for an hour and needing to charge it for 9. That's a reality for many satellites, with a utilization as low as 10%. The lack of power and the inability to add power in orbit are the biggest obstacles to further innovation in the space industry. LUMI solves this problem by powering satellites using terrestrial lasers. Now, that might all sound very sci-fi, but what we're actually doing is combining 3 existing technologies for the first time. Firstly, transmitting power with a laser, which is already done for remote scientific stations and ski chalets. Secondly, accurately pointing a laser to space, which is already being done to measure the distance to satellites and to calibrate telescopes. And thirdly, pinpointing objects in space. And that's where I come in. My name's Hira. I'm a physicist and orbit prediction engineer with a decade's exposure to the space industry. I was the first person outside the United States to have their PhD sponsored by the United States Air Force to study how to pinpoint man-made objects in space. I also founded Moped Spotted and have served as a lead data scientist and management consultant to FTSE 100 companies. We have a strong advisory board, including experts in laser weapons technology, satellite sales, and power transfer. We're the first winners of a competition with the European Space Agency and Open Cosmos to prove this in orbit. We've raised over £200,000 so far, and we've proven our technology on an abandoned airfield using off-the-shelf equipment. From our conversations with satellite operators, we know their priority is more power over cheaper launch. And yet, billions are being invested in cheaper launch while the market for power is being ignored. The economic incentive for satellite operators is huge. LUMI effectively adds up to 40% to the value of each satellite. For SpaceX and Blue Origin to deliver a booming space industry, the next generation of satellites need much more power. That's what we do, enhancing existing satellites and enabling the mind-blowing space technology of tomorrow. At LUMI, we aren't doing AI in the cloud. We're doing it above the clouds. Thank you.
So thank you, everyone, and thanks to our first half teams. We are done now for the first half. We're going to take a short break. All our teams and the refreshments are going to be up on the mezzanine layer outside, so don't take the escalator. There's stairs almost immediately outside the door. They take you to the mezzanine level. All of the first half teams are there, so you're welcome to chat, and we'll re-adjourn in 20 minutes. Thank you very much. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the second half. Now, we've made a point, or I've made a point, for the last couple of demo days around data and learning. And while we wait for the last few stragglers to come back in from coffee, I thought I would share something with you to make that a bit more tangible. So let's just set the scene. We have tens of thousands of applicants a year, hundreds of companies being built, and at the other end of our funnel, our investment ops team are dealing with between 1 and 4 investments every week. Now, how do you learn from that outcomes data what we should do at the talent end of the funnel at scale? You would need an end-to-end data pipeline to understand what the hell is going on, frankly. Fortunately, that's exactly what we've built. Now, most of the insights that come from those tools do relate to our programs and our talent thesis. However, there's a factoid that I can share with you that I think you would find easier to relate to, relating to our investment committee, our IC. Now, at the risk of teaching my grandmother to suck eggs, an IC, a panelist, is required to say, yes, we should back this team, or no, we should pass. Now, if you say yes too often, obviously that gets a little bit pricey, but if you say no, the downside is frankly uncapped. It can be very expensive. So if we take all our panelists, we look at their decision data, and we can add up the value of every time they say, no, we should pass, and yet EF and the market, more importantly, thinks that company is valuable and invests. Now, if I were to ask you, what do you think the ratio of the best selector at that investment committee is to the worst? What would you guess? Maybe I can give you the number, but I'd love to hear what you thought. No guesses. Okay. 5x? 50x? It's 550x performance delta between the best and the worst selector. That's somewhat material, I think. And obviously, the devil's in the details, but we are strongly incentivized to find out what's going on there and act upon it. This is just an illustration, a tangible one for you guys, that, of like how we tie up data and learning at EF. And that's what we're feeding into our programs every day. Okay, let's switch mode. I think the room is now full again, and hear from our next set of teams. Hard to diagnose diseases typically require some kind of new bioassay, a long development process, long regulatory process to bring them to market. Our next team, however, using software, is able to diagnose early on neurodegenerative disease with a data set that's already available. Let's hear from Novoic.
Two sentences. One is from someone with Alzheimer's. Can you tell which one? Two voice recordings. One is from someone with Parkinson's. Can you tell which one? The words you say and the way you say them change when your brain gets affected by disease. And these changes actually happen decades before clinical symptoms appear. If you're going to develop a brain disease later in life, the early signs might already be there. In your speech, right now, when you're young as 30, a human can't detect this, but a machine can. I'm Emil, and with my co-founder Jack, we're Novoic. We are predicting brain disease from speech. With just a short voice recording, our proprietary technology can now detect early signs of dementia 2 decades before it's done today. Currently, there's no scalable way to pick up these early changes. This costs $230 billion a year in the US alone. And that's just Alzheimer's. In the 6 months we've known each other, we've already collected a speech data set from 4 major brain diseases, hundreds of times larger than anything that has ever existed before. We've done a proof of concept study, and our technology is ready. We're now setting up pilots with top US and EU medical research institutions to validate it clinically. Our first use case is identifying early-stage patients for clinical trials. Using our software platform, pharmaceutical companies can save 80% of their screening costs. That's 20 million for just one trial. We're currently in discussions with 4 top pharma companies and 7 of the biggest CROs globally. I'm an Oxford neuroscientist. I've led research at one of the world's leading auditory neuroscience groups, where I built a computational model of the human sensory system. Since I was a teenager, I've been obsessed with brain disease and language changes in the brain. I graduated top of my class in molecular medicine, where I led an independent research project on Alzheimer's. Doing his PhD at Cambridge, my co-founder and CTO, Jack Weston, developed the machine learning algorithms for a multi-billion-dollar neutrino experiment to differentiate between particles in large, noisy data sets. The same type of data that we are now analyzing for speech. Before that, he graduated from Oxford with a first in physics and a prize-winning thesis on string theory. We are being advised by Dr. Alexander Mosho, the Chief Strategy Officer of UCB and ex-CEO of Bayer UK, and Professor Peter Garrett, the leading Alzheimer's speech researcher in the UK. People speak all the time. And it's not something you have to extract from them with a syringe or a multi-million-dollar machine. Speech is a rich, untapped data asset that will be at the core of digital medicine. We are unlocking that asset. How many conversations have you had today? Jack and I are building a future where just one of those conversations could be life-changing. So come and have one with us.
So after the pitches today, there will be drinks and canapes, as always. And the good news is those canapes will have been thoroughly tested for food safety. The bad news is that the results won't come in for another 2 days. Now, don't worry, this is true of all the food that you eat, until my probes solve it.
Hi, I'm Nina, the CEO of MyProbes. Every single one of us will eat 3 meals a day, every day of our lives. But if we want to check if that food is going to make us sick before we eat it, well, today that requires fancy machinery, a scientist, and a 2 to 10 day wait. And that's why none of us are doing testing in our own kitchens. But food and beverage companies are, and they spend $12 billion annually on that testing. Our tests can detect a contaminated product 10 times faster and at no additional cost. But why does speed matter? Because last year, due to slow testing, $5.5 billion were lost in lost product, lost profits, lawsuits, and brand damage. A single company alone can lose $22 million in a food product recall. And with the MyProbes test, the companies can act faster and prevent that recall altogether. We used synthetic biology to create a test that's just as fast and as easy to use as a pregnancy test. Our technology is powered by cell-free protein synthesis, and the test will change color when you add a contaminated sample. We can produce these tests for cents, and we can price them competitively at a 90% margin. So far, we've completed a trial with a €2 billion food and beverage company, and we have 2 contracts in negotiation to continue development and validate our prototype. Outbreaks in foodborne illness are increasing annually. We can no longer rely on the 100-year-old gold standard in food safety testing. We need a new solution, and we are the team to build it. Max, our CTO, fixed the bottleneck of this technology with tools he built at the Max Planck Institute. And little did Max know, but I was on the other side of the globe working on the exact same problem when I was building detection tests for commercial applications in Silicon Valley. And my patents from that technology were acquired by a synthetic biology unicorn. Our enterprise solution is just the start. Our vision is to build a product that empowers anyone to be able to check if their food is safe. Microbes is creating a new segment in the consumer market, at-home food safety testing. What this means, for individuals, you can check if anything in your fridge is still fresh. And for parents, you can test if your infant formula is safe for your baby. And for travelers, you can have complete confidence in the street food in the most exotic locations. We see a world where microbes means safe food. We're microbes, and we're making food safety testing fast and simple.
Our CTOs, they love to get started building their code base. At the beginning, with a blank sheet of paper and a small focused team, productivity can be insane. Big teams, huge legacy code bases, things are not so pretty. Codist AI is here to help.
Hello, everyone. We are Codist AI. We are helping developers understand source code faster. Here is John. John is a software developer in charge of adding a new feature in his company's source code. Doing that took him 4 weeks, 3.5 weeks of frustration to understand how and where he can modify the code, and 2 days to actually code a new feature. John is not alone. On average, developers spend 60% of their time understanding the code before actually coding. This is because today, the code architecture is too complex to be handled manually. And the information supporting the code is spread out, and most of the time, outdated. In a world where there is software literally everywhere, companies lose over 30% of their productivity and $200 billion every year because of that. At Codist AI, we are bringing together machine learning applied to code and programming language theory to make the code understanding process 3 times faster. Using our integrated platform, developers can now navigate the code as a browsable, interactive graph. And we augment that graph with information supporting code understanding, whether the information is internal, like documentation, or external, like forum on the internet. And we automatically update the information we serve. Changing the way developers interact with code is an ambitious challenge, and our team is equipped to take it up. I'm happy to introduce you to Shubhadeep, my co-founder. He is a developer for 16 years. He holds a master in computer science. As a second-time founder and a published author on data science, he is renowned in developers community. I'm Elisa. I'm an engineer, and I double graduated in optimization and machine learning. For 6 years, I managed large-scale IT projects in banks. I saw firsthand the consequences of complex source code on business productivity. We are solving a major bottleneck for companies. Can you imagine here if the companies you invested in, banks, insurance, green tech, fintech, biotech, could increase their developers' productivity by 30%? Using Codist AI, they can now release product faster. They can be more competitive. Our customers, CTOs, and lead techs love our vision and technology. We have gathered so far 9 pilots, including a paid pilot with the largest IT consulting group in France. The first population of users we are tackling are back-end developers. This is a $1.5 billion revenue opportunity. But there are other adjacent populations of coders struggling out there, like front-end developers or data scientists. We will be the go-to tool for every developer in the world. Come and join us at Codist AI to be part of it. Thank you.
Now, our next team is somewhat unusual. It's from Europe 11, our previous cohort. Why? Well, they believe their technology has the potential to reshape computing, and they wanted to invest the time in getting the foundations of the product right. The good news is now it works, it's live, and they're on the path to delivering 10x performance improvements for deep learning. Upstride.
Deep learning is extremely data hungry. To make its autonomous car, Google spent the last 10 years and more than $100 million collecting, labeling, and processing pictures from more than 10 million miles of driving. And yet, it's not enough to put their fully autonomous cars to the streets, materializing a $1 trillion market. So why is that? It's because they are not using their data to its maximum potential. This is sand, and this is sand under a microscope. So much richness invisible to the naked eye. Just like sand under a microscope, the datasets we use to train neural networks are much richer than we can currently grasp. If only we could see more from data, would do more with less, and much more with the same amount. And this is what Upstride does. We've built the data type tailored to deep learning. By remaking the foundations of computing, we can see the hidden information in data. Using our API for computer vision, our customers can slash their cost of data acquisition and labeling by up to 90% by using 10 times less data. Boost the performance of their current models by up to 30% by leveraging their existing datasets, and save battery of mobile devices by deploying models up to 50% smaller. And this is how we're going to make money, selling licenses. Our product works and is already delivering strong results. We're starting with the automobile industry. In 1 month, one of the top 5 car manufacturers will start using our API, a first step into a market reaching $9 billion in 5 years. And our API is also going to be used in a pilot by a satellite imagery company, another $1 billion market. And there are countless applications. So, how do we make this possible? Computing started with vectors. Deep learning brought tensors. And Upstride brings a new fundamental building block, a whole new data type. We name it HiCore. It took us everything we know about mathematics, signal processing, and the way computer chips work to rebuild deep learning computations from scratch. We went as far as reshaping one of the most fundamental operations computers do, multiplication. My co-founder, Wilder, worked his whole adult life to achieve this. Trained as an electronics engineer, he then did a PhD in machine learning and signal processing. He's launched nanosatellites, improved robot navigation, and even supercharged high-performance computing. I'm Gary, and I'm the CEO, and I bring a decade of experience in the tech industry. Trained as a computing engineer, I started at McKinsey before leading the strategy department of a SaaS company and launching a product that's doubled its valuation to $1.3 billion. Upstride is the future of deep learning. Our product is live, and our results are real. Come talk to us.
Sometimes less is more. And for FMCG and e-commerce, this means a revolution is coming. Better by less.
Let me start with a question. What's the best-selling item of Boots in the UK or Rossmann in Germany? It's water. Second is plastic. The shampoo that you used this morning, for example, contains more than 80% water. Even worse, the dispenser is probably heavier than the shampoo essence that it contains. These plastic bottles are usually used for a couple of days, but stay with us for centuries, in landfills, the ocean, or as microplastics in our water, food, and bodies. I'm the founder of Better Buy Less. We are a direct-to-consumer brand helping our customers to get rid of single-use plastic waste in a very attractive and convenient way. We ship shampoo essence made from the best natural ingredients right into your mailbox in an envelope as a subscription. All you need to do is to mix that dry essence with water in our long-lasting bottles, and you're ready to shower. My name is Dominic. For the last 10 years, I've been taking offline business models online. This is the third company I'm building. I scaled the business for Flixbus to 80 employees and 16 million euros of revenue with a service that was never sold online before. I joined that unicorn after selling them my first startup. Before that, I managed a 100 million euro category for Amazon in Germany and China. At the moment, I'm building out our team. Arne is a superb product designer. He's behind some of the most iconic brands in Germany. Claire has more than 10 years of experience in building the recipes of personal care products. Together, we're changing consumer behavior, which is hard if it concerns daily routines. But a growing number of eco-conscious consumers want to change. We easily acquired a dozen customers online that are paying to test our prototypes. They all want to avoid plastic, but there are more reasons why they're excited. Many hate to look at advertising in their bathrooms and prefer beautiful bottles. Others like the convenience. You don't have to go buy shampoo, and there's no way you'll miss the delivery to your mailbox. Compared to their former shampoos, our essence is 17 times lighter and therefore 6 times cheaper to ship, which makes it perfect for online fulfillment. And we can apply the same principle to most personal care products. It's a 77 billion euro market in the EU alone. There's enough plastic to save. If you like what we do and would love to challenge us by asking the right questions, come talk to me. Thanks a lot.
Sometimes a simple business can be a good one. Enterprise SaaS, a huge underserved vertical, and explosive traction. Welcome Amber from Argrid.
This was my desk when I was managing clinical trials data. It was my job to populate patient folders with documents and data sheets. Clinicians would return them to my desk, and I'd have to type an exact replica. Why? It was to track this medical research process. It consists of patient enrollment, data collection, and reporting. It was designed 272 years ago and has barely changed since. The problem with data management in medical research is that it's unnecessarily manual and unintelligent. It costs $44 billion a year and millions of hours. And despite these costs, 86% of drugs will never receive regulatory approval or make it to market. And 57% of trials will fail due to lack of efficacy. And this is because we're doing this process manually under significant time and funding constraints. Patient enrollment is done manually. Data is collected manually on paper and spreadsheets. And it takes 6 months to a year to analyze that data, also done manually. Did I say manual enough? Argrid is software as a service that streamlines medical research processes in an intuitive interface. Our AI-powered tools offer medical research professionals a 30% savings in their costs, a 60% savings in their time, and an improvement in their patient engagement by 10-fold. Our live MVP streamlines documents, data collection, intelligent reports, and patient engagement all in one place, and all while complying with regulations. We already have our first customer and 2 pilots auto-converting to paid contracts. And they represent top medical research institutions within the NHS, and we have 8 more in the pipeline across Europe and the US. We're already set to convert 6 figures in revenue, and we aim to hit a few million in 18 months. I'm Amber. I'm the CEO of ArtGrid, and I'm one of the few people in the world with expertise in end-to-end medical research. I have a PhD in biomedical neuroscience from UCL. I've learned computer science at Harvard, and I hold degrees in psychology, chemistry, and clinical neuroscience. I have 8 years of business and sales experience at world-leading institutions within the NHS and hospitals as my clients. And I come from a family of 4 generations of doctors who addressed medical research inefficiencies, including co-founding 2 hospitals in America. I'm joined by Roland, who's our current technical advisor and forerunning CTO. Roland has a master's in software engineering from Harvard, and he has a master's in business management of IT systems and 14 years of experience with companies like Dell. Medical research processes are the cornerstone of drug discovery, medical device manufacturing, and health insurance. Imagine if we could double the pace. ArtGrid is ushering in a new era of medical research, innovation, and efficiency. If you want to be a part of that future, come see us.
We have a lot of technical applicants that come to us telling us a story about how AI can transform industrial design and engineering. Next up, we have a team who's world-class, doing this right now for some of the most demanding customers in the world. Toffee AM.
Hi, I am Francesco. I'm the CEO of Toffee AM, the design software for additive manufacturing. This is the first bridge made of iron in England. It's easy to notice that this bridge inherited its design from bridges that came before it, with the hood. Designers had a whole new material to play with, and yet they designed to maintain exactly the same shape. It has taken 2 centuries in order to get something like that, the Millennium Bridge. This is because when a new technology is first adopted, the human mind is not quick enough to fully exploit the opportunities that can bring. This is the case today with additive manufacturing. Additive manufacturing is becoming more and more common to 3D print mechanical components such as fuel nozzle and valves in aircraft engines and cars. It's a $10 billion market with a growth rate of 30% year on year, and yet, like with bridges, people are still using the same design. Look at these 2 fuel nozzles. One is obtained with additive manufacturing, the other one with standard design tools. Can you tell me which one? But it's not about aesthetic. It's about the potential to save fuel and maintenance costs, up to $500 million in aviation alone. At Toffee AM, we develop the right software to bring additive manufacturing to its full potential. Using intelligent generative design, our prototype is already 20 times faster than current design tools and is able to generate geometries that are 40% more efficient. This is what an heat exchanger looks like in an aircraft engine. The other one has been designed by Toffee. I've been a design engineer for more than 20 years. I'm also a professor of Imperial College of London. I will never been able to do the same. This is the reason why I decided to join forces with Marco, a great mathematician, an Engineering and Physical Research Council Fellow, PhD from Imperial College of London, and with Audrey, an Emilia Earhart Fellow, an honor awarded to the top 30 women working in aerospace in the world. We are also joined by Adrian De Ferranti, well-known investor and founder of many deep tech startups, such as Cambridge Computer Graphics. Our work received many prizes, most notable from Amazon and AWS, that show the potential scalability of our software. But our greatest supporters have been our customers. Our software has been already used for designing real components for general electric aviation, for Baker Hughes, and for one of the greatest Formula One teams in the world. This is what we achieved just months after starting our business. Think about opportunities, customers, and the entire market we can enable next. We are here to expand our team and our reach. If you want to see the future imagined by Toffee, come and talk to us.
Some teams just need to tell their own story. Phenotech.
Hi guys, I'm Henry, CEO of Phenotech. And when I was 18, life was great. I was in a band, I was studying drama, and with my long, flowing, golden locks, I was going to be famous. But everything changed when my father was diagnosed with stage 3 cancer. And seeing his patient journey changed my life. I cut my golden flowing locks, I dropped drama, and I picked up computational biology. And skipping ahead a couple of steps, I got a PhD from the University of Cambridge focusing on the inner workings of prostate cancer. And since then, I've made it my mission to make prostate cancer a thing of the past. And the next step on that mission is Phenotech. Now, prostate cancer is the second most deadly form of cancer in the UK and US in men. But there's no screening platform. And that's because current tests are simply too inaccurate. 66% of men that receive a positive diagnosis from the current tests don't have cancer. This is what we're fixing at Phenotech. We're developing low-cost, non-invasive, accurate tests for prostate cancer. We take a routine blood draw, apply our academic collaborators' groundbreaking lab procedure, and then feed that data into our cutting-edge deep learning technology, teasing out signal from millions of variables. So how are we doing this? I'll tell you. Our CTO, Angelo Cardoso, is the real rock star. I could tell you that he came top of his master's in AI, and he has a PhD and a postdoc from the University of Lisbon, and that he's deployed cutting-edge tech at UK tech giants where he also led teams. But the real impressive thing about Angelo is that in the short time we've been working on this, he's built algorithms that can differentiate between tumor and normal samples with near perfect accuracy. And our academic collaborators are astounded. Speaking of which, we're turbocharging this mission with top advisors. Professor David Neal oversaw the largest ever prospective trial of prostate cancer, and he's a professor at Oxford and Cambridge. And he has over 35 years, this is the real deal, and he has over 35 years of treating prostate cancer in the clinic. We're also joined by the brilliant Dr. Charlie Massey, who oversees the early detection lab at the University of Cambridge, focusing on prostate cancer. Now, what we're doing has the potential to change cancer diagnosis forever. And it's a huge opportunity. Simply replacing the current inaccurate tests in prostate cancer is an opportunity worth $2 billion a year in the UK and US. And competition is fierce. Other companies in this space have raised billions, but they don't have a solution yet. We're close to a solution. We've got cutting-edge tech, and we haven't even started raising. Come and talk to Phenotech.
One of the things that our talent teams look for when they engage with literally tens of thousands of people across the world each year are domain experts. The ideal domain expert has knowledge of, comes from an accessible industry and has knowledge of a huge opportunity there and has the insight into how to solve that problem. Next up, Fuelcast.
Hi, I'm Jurek from Fuelcast. And this is me and my co-founder on a client ship in the Persian Gulf. So, why did we go there? To solve shipping's most pressing problem. Every year, the shipping industry is spending $100 billion on fuel. of which 15 billion is just wasted due to poor engine management. And in 3 months' time, the UN will implement the Sulfur Cap 2020, a new fuel type regulation which will increase the fuel cost by 50%. Yet, the 50,000 ships that travel on the sea are run on pen, paper, and a little more than intuition. So, think of these ships as 15-story high floating factories. They have 15 different sailing modes, hundreds of settings to optimize, and thousands of sensors constantly collecting data. This is a superhuman optimization problem. And it's a massive opportunity to build the software that dominates this market. What DeepMind did for Google's data centers, we're doing for the ship engines. At FuelCast, we make ships intelligent. By applying computer vision, for the first time, we will enable the crew to easily collect data. This will feed our advanced algorithms to optimize fuel consumption on board and save shipping companies 15% of their fuel. In just 6 months, we agreed 10 data sharing agreements with various ship owners, and our product is already live, delivering cost savings of £100,000 per year. But most excitingly, in just 2 weeks, we're starting a pilot with the world's leading shipping company, where this single client can bring us 100 million in annual revenue. My CTO and co-founder, Matthias, has the perfect background to solve this problem. He spent 5 years as lead engineer at AVL, the world's leading engine design company, where he solved some of the most complex engine efficiency problems. As for me, over the last 7 years, I set up and run multiple product teams, and most recently launched the Commerzbank banking app to over 1 million active users. I know what it takes to build digital products for old industries. And the shipping industry is the bedrock of the $20 trillion global economy. Yet its software is stuck in the 80s. By bringing the power of data and analytics, we are saving the industry billions. We're looking forward to welcome you on board as we build the default operating system of the maritime industry. Thank you.
Providing insights and intelligence to both high-value investment decisions and time-critical decisions, in fact, life-or-death decisions, is a multi-billion-dollar industry. But it's one that is barely beyond pen, paper, Google, and Excel. Sounds like an opportunity. It is for Reknowledge.
In 2014, 298 people were killed when Malaysia Airlines Flight 17 was shot down over eastern Ukraine. Hours earlier, that picture of the missile launcher traveling across a Ukrainian village was posted on social media. But that critical red flag was missed by the entire intelligence community. Intelligence failures cost life, money, and reputation. And I know this firsthand. My name is Julian, and I'm a former senior intelligence analyst. So why was this red flag missed? Well, it's simple, really. Right now, to do their job, analysts use those tools. But those are the tools of a fourth grader. They're not fit to collect, consolidate, and make sense of huge amount of information quickly and efficiently. As a result, the industry has no choice but to throw a lot of very expensive human researchers at the problem. And for this $19 billion industry, those annual research costs can run into the $1 billion for the biggest players. At Reknowledge, we are changing this today. Our solution is a SaaS platform designed to tackle the biggest inefficiencies in intelligence. Our product has been developed in conjunction with dozens of private intelligence freelancers and 5 private intelligence companies, including the Economist Intelligence Unit.
Our web browser add-on streamlines the collection and consolidation of information. Our analytical workbench connects those streams of information with a knowledge base that can be quickly and efficiently leveraged. And our AI is learning from the human to train the machine in detecting those red flags. Our early testers are telling us that our solution could save them between 20 and 40% of the online research cost. And for the biggest player in the market, this could translate into an annual saving of $400 million. At TreeKnowledge, we want to move the private intelligence industry from a narrative-driven tradecraft to a data and model-driven one. So, how are we making this happen? Myself, I've worked in the intelligence field for almost a decade, developing novel technological solutions to improve the tradecraft. I'm also a regular contributor to the Jane's Intelligence Review, the reference publication in the intelligence community worldwide. My co-founder and CTO, David Costa, is a patented software engineer who has been architecting and building hyper-complex information management systems for over 20 years. He has scaled the tech, the product, the business, and the team in tech giants like Shazam and Thomson Reuters. To make our vision a reality, we are putting together a world-class team of technical and domain experts. Today, TreeKnowledge is changing how intelligence is produced. Tomorrow, we will transform the whole knowledge economy. Come and talk to us.
All AI, autonomous, and smart systems rely on a critical resource, but oftentimes they have no visibility of that resource, nor the ability to fail gracefully when they degrade. Next up, we have Imperium, providing predictability to autonomy.
Do you remember the last time you tried to have a video call on a train? It probably didn't go that well. Because wireless communication is fundamentally unreliable. I mean, a patchy connection may not be an issue if you are watching YouTube on your way home. But when the stakes are high, the connection has to be flawless. Remote surgeries, precision manufacturing, search and rescue operations will all be performed wirelessly when 5G is here. At Imperium, we're developing technology that can enable mission-critical applications over the cellular networks, even today. But where is this technology really needed right now? Autonomous vehicles. Despite millions of miles of testing, when an autonomous vehicle today faces situations such as a road diversion, a construction site, or simply bad weather, it stops and asks for human assistance. Now, the industry believes this is not going to change in the foreseeable future. But having a safety driver inside every single autonomous vehicle simply defeats their purpose. So what is the solution? The solution is to complement autonomy by allowing a remote human operator to take control of the vehicle in complex environments. This is teleoperation. And starting this year, the regulation is changing. Teleoperation is being mandated as a safety measure for autonomous vehicles across the world. But teleoperation has its challenges. How do you handle poor network conditions or a sudden loss of signal when you're teleoperating? No one else has yet managed to solve this problem. And we are building the most advanced teleoperation solution that solves this exact problem. Our technology can predict and respond to the changes in network quality in real time. And our in-vehicle autonomy is always ready to take control of the vehicle in case the link breaks. We have already built and tested our first prototype. And this is just 2 weeks ago. We had a live demo at UK's largest autonomous mobility event. We've managed to do this because we have the world-class team for this car. Sandeep is a wireless expert. At Huawei, he built the world's first 5G-based teleoperated driving system, and he holds over 20 patents in the field of low-latency communication. Naveed has a PhD and postdoc in AI and robotics with over 30 publications. He's been building autonomous trains, trucks, even submarines for the last 15 years. I'm Kusha, and I spent 10 years advising telecom operators on their most strategic issues. I know exactly what it takes to build the right partnerships and navigate through those long sales cycles. We are already in advanced talks with two of the world's largest fleet operators to run pilots with them on public roads in the next 6 months. In 5 years' time, there will be 8 million autonomous vehicles on the road, and every single one of them will need to license our technology in order to operate safely. This market is worth $50 billion, but our immediate use case doesn't stop there. Autonomous robots in mining, construction, logistics, manufacturing will all need teleoperation. With Imperium, you can now rely on a much safer autonomous future. Please come and talk to us.
If you could add 20–25% to the value of the internet economy, that might be interesting as an investment, right? The next billion users, courtesy of Lisan.
The internet may be the most important technology in our lives. It connects people together, drives economies, and gives us access to the entirety of human knowledge. Now imagine for a moment if the next time you went online, the web looked like this. You wouldn't be able to do anything. This is my co-founders' community in Ethiopia. They speak Amharic, but the majority of the web is in English. They are cut off from the power of the internet. 1 billion people have this same problem. They live in linguistic bubbles, but have the fastest growing economies. 5 out of every 6 new internet users are coming from communities outside of the Western world, and companies can't communicate with these new customers because they can't translate their content at scale. Advances in deep learning have recently made it possible to take one piece of text and translate it to another language. The challenge is finding enough data to power these machine translation models. For a machine translation model to work, it needs millions of translated sentences. They need to be aligned and in machine-readable form. No one has been able to do this for the majority of languages. We found a way to solve this problem. We went to Ethiopia, set up a team, and in 8 weeks, we built the largest data set for our first low-resource language. DARPA estimated this would cost $10 million and take years. Our data acquisition process is repeatable, scalable, and fast. In the next 3 years, we're going to take this same process and apply it to 10 other low-resource languages, opening up the web to 500 million people. In 2 weeks, we're launching our product, which will allow 70 million people to consume the web for the first time in a language they understand. While the impact of our product is transformative for our users, we are here to build a business. We charge local and multinational companies to use our translation API, which allows them to generate insights, drive revenue, and enter new customer segments. Connecting these communities to online services will be worth billions, and Lisan is leading the way. We have a great team to solve this problem. Esme is an expert in applied machine learning and cross-lingual short text matching. He has scraped and analyzed terabytes of unstructured text, and this is his second machine learning startup. He has been working on this problem as a side project for 4 years. I have worked all over the world, scaling global development programs to a national level, and I've co-founded 2 startups. Before Lisan, I was the product lead for GovTech Solution, where I took an idea from the whiteboard to thousands of users across the UK. We both know that working on this problem is what we want to do with our lives. We imagine a world where everyone can consume the content on the web. We are going to be the company that gets the next billion across the line. Thank you so much.
Life is precious. In vitro.
We are in vitro. We combine the power of cell culture and artificial intelligence to tackle infertility. Human life starts with two cells coming together. It is hard to fathom how many factors come into play for this cellular development to lead to a baby being born. And yet, I bet many of us here take this for granted. But I also bet most of us here know someone who struggled conceiving a child. 1 out of 7 couples have fertility issues, and their main medical hope is in vitro fertilization, or IVF. IVF consists of generating multiple embryos in the lab, monitoring them, and selecting the ones to implant back in the patient. If conceiving naturally can be hard, think how much harder it can be to recreate in the lab. And the fact is, in the UK, around 70% of couples do not have a baby after their first IVF attempt, and have to repeat this expensive and invasive process, or simply give up. The problem is that not every embryo will lead to a baby. As a result, clinicians frequently implant more than one. This can result into a multiple pregnancy, which we now know can jeopardize the health of both the mother and the children. So now, more than ever, clinicians are wondering, how do we select the one embryo with the highest chance of success? And at the same time, cutting-edge microscopes that record high-resolution videos of embryos in the lab have been developed in the last decade, generating unprecedented insights and tons of data that is left unexploited. The time is ripe for change, and this is where we come in. We help clinicians make sense of these complex data sets so they know how to maximize the chances that IVF will work as fast as possible. Our SaaS platform, based on deep learning technology, can prevent one failed fertility treatment for up to 2 million couples worldwide every year. And to help these patients, we're already collaborating with multiple clinics across Europe who will use our tools for 2 reasons. First, we'll increase their competitiveness by increasing success rates. And second, we'll save precious time from highly skilled clinicians who can now make decisions 10 times faster. And their need is growing at a staggering rate. The total IVF market is estimated to be worth $36 billion in 2026 and growing at a 10% rate. Now, I'm Alex. I'm the CEO. I'm a biomedical engineer and a Marie Curie Fellow. During my PhD at Imperial College London and my postdoc at MIT, I've learned to master the process and microscopy tools used to culture and image cells in the lab, which happens to be core to IVF. But it turns out an Alex needs a Mariam as a CTO. Mariam has built numerous deep and machine learning models on all kinds of data, and she has enabled many startups to bring scalable products to the market. We're also fortunate to be working with experts in the fields of IVF and AI applied to cell imaging. Cells have so much more to say than we think. Someone just needs to give them a voice, especially when that voice can make or break life. So please do come and talk to us to learn more about what is literally a life-changing company. Thank you.
Well, that was the end of our pitches for today. 2 very brief functional points. First one, the teams will all be outside to meet you now. The second half teams are just outside here. The first half teams are up on the mezzanine, up the stairs, not the escalator. Please introduce yourselves and say hello. Start the conversation going. Second thing is, if you haven't already booked in for office hours and you would like to, please contact Ferdy. Ferdy's email is in the invitation you will have received for today. Last of all, can we just please give one last round of applause to show the founders the appreciation for all their hard work. Thank you very much.